Hey, good morning, my friends. Welcome to another edition of Behind the Mic with me, Mike Avery, here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio. I'm here to record this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show, and I appreciate you tuning in. A lot of different things you could be doing right now, and the fact that you're spending a few minutes with me is greatly appreciated. Hey, good morning, John. How are you? How are things over at CMU? Really sorry I missed you at the fishing show down in Detroit. Good morning, Craig, my friend. Nice to have you along with us as well. Look forward to seeing you at the Trinity dinner, Craig. Right? I hope you're going to be there. Carl, nice to have you with us as well on a very warm Wednesday morning. Hello, Nick. Johnny. My bear whisperer brother. How are you this morning, buddy? Mad Jack, always a pleasure. Nice to have you along with us as well. Here to record this week's Outdoor Magazine radio studio. The question in my mind right now is, will we get winter? Hey, Jerry, appreciate you joining us. And will winter, since we don't have a winter yet, are we looking at a late winter? I mean, at this point, Mike, hey, Mike, how are you? Haven't talked with you for a while. How are things down your direction? Bob, appreciate you joining us as well. Mike, what's the weather like down your direction? Probably about like what we're having here. We're not having much of a winter. I will look forward to it, Tony, my fellow skinny water rat. Johnny's waiting on the snow. Bob, good morning. Appreciate you being with us. Hey, Kevin, how are you? Yeah, Johnny. I think about you, Johnny, up there in the middle of nowhere, up on top of that big plow truck. A lot of time to think. Good thing you don't smoke cigars, or you'd be going through a lot of cigars. Hey, Ed, good morning, buddy. How are you? Ed will be joining us. I think Ed's going to go back down to Ohio with us. Johnny's not going to be able to. He's waiting on a new granddaughter. For the hunt in Ohio, October 16th through the 20th. We're looking for some people to join us. About 4 of our friends who were with us the last couple of years are trying different hunts this year, and they're not going to be available. So if you want to go to Ohio with us, October 16th through the 20th, and hunt with Bill Piles of Ohio Bow Hunting Outfitters, get in touch with me. It's a good hunt. I'm looking forward to it already. Well, John, I can tell you, Johnny sent me a picture from the truck yesterday where normally he would be looking at fields of snow. He could see grass. Mike says, send some snow. We don't have any to send you. Hey, Cliff, always appreciate you being with us. Again, my name is Mike Avery. I'm here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio to record this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show. People often ask me, why do you have 2 mics in front of you? There are 3 mics in the picture right now. Mike, and Mike. This is my social media microphone. This is my official broadcast microphone. And me, Mike, I'm Mike Avery. Coming up on this week's show, hey, Robert, we're going to get an early jump on the food plot season. Now, I realize it's a little early, but Rich Krazan of Killer Food Plots will join me. I think mainly, as much as anything, just to talk about how the fact that he's taken the company over. Our mutual friend Nick Percy passed away the fall of 2021, and Rich has taken the company over. We want to talk about that and get ready for food plot season. Hey, Paul, how are you? And then Tom Campbell of Woods and Water News. Barry, appreciate you being along with us. And in hour number 2, Chris Durson of Rapid River Knives. They were so successful at making knives that they ran out of them just before Christmas. Well, they're back in business now. Hello, Barry. Getting snow in Montmorency County within the next day or 2. That's what I heard, Bob. That's what I heard. And then probationary officer Steven Satcher, a brand new game warden, is going to join me to talk about that process. This week's Ask Avery segment, I'm still going back and forth. I don't know exactly how I want to handle it. I had a situation here last week, and some of you may have seen it. I posted a picture of my grandson, Carter. We went to Jay's Sporting Goods in Clare, and we bought, he can't do it. I bought an over under 20 gauge for his high school trap shooting team. Hey, Tony. And we got some negative comments on it about, oh my gosh, you're buying a gun. Oh, Pat, you moved my camera. Oh, yeah. I just had to give you some grief, Pat. It didn't do a thing. Got some grief about the fact that I bought a gun for a minor. Well, yeah, I bought a gun for a minor. He can't buy it for himself. Anyway, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, I think. And then in our third hour, Matt Taggart of Rec Broadheads. I actually want to talk with him about shed hunting. We're seeing some sheds already. I haven't seen any, but I'm seeing some pictures posted of people finding sheds already. Seems a little early, but we'll talk about that. And then, of course, Wild Game Chef Extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner will wrap it up. Hey, Joe, how are you? Appreciate you being along with us this morning on this edition of Behind the Mic. The weather. Oh, Santa bought you a Rapid River knife, eh? Nice, Craig. They're beautiful, aren't they? They're absolutely beautiful. I should get in touch with Chris Durson and see if he will donate a knife for our Trinity dinner. I suspect he will. Good morning, Rick. How are you? How did you know it was Santa, Craig? Did you see him? Or you're just assuming? Anyway, the weather. Not much of a winter yet. Captain Jim, how are you? Jim, will you be able to join us at the Trinity dinner this year? And you got to wonder at this point if we're going to get winter, or if we get winter, is it going to drag on into the springtime? Thank you, Mad Jack. I appreciate that. Mark's got a gun he got when he was a kid. Phil says bucks in the Yoop have dropped their antlers already. So it's not too early to talk about shedding. Excellent, Jim. Appreciate that. Jim, remind me, and Jim Boot, good morning. Captain Jim, remind me to tell you about some news regarding a mutual friend of ours. It's good news. I can't announce it on the air here, but it's great. Joe's good. He's debating on getting the boat back out there. We had 3 days of ice fish. 3 days of ice fishing, yeah. Bill Hoffman, what comes first here in Michigan, ice fishing or another dove hunt? And Bill, it's questions like that that make you the most interesting man in Michigan. Anyway, I talked to the folks at Jay's. I said, we want to get a decent quality over-under for my grandson, Carter. Now, he started shooting high school trap last year. The first gun he shot was a single shot 20 gauge I got for Christmas when I was like 12 years old. So he started with that one, then realized he wanted to go to a semi-auto. So he used a semi-auto 20 gauge that was my grandpa's in Manistee. I figured you meant that. Yeah, I really like that truck. Hey, Eric, how are you? How are things on the water? You'll be back in 10 minutes. Okay. Hey, Tim, good morning. How are you? Why would people be upset? Many of us took hunter safety, started hunting at 12. I know, Tony. That's why. And there's a backstory here that I really can't get into. I will tell you this, that when I heard there were negative comments sent to the DNR about me buying a gun, it really made me mad. I mean, I really, because this is what I'm all about, passing this history and tradition of the outdoors onto the next generation. That's what Jay's is all about. And I thought that's what the DNR was all about too. So I was really quite upset about it. And I came and I was thinking, when I get in the studio next week, I'm going to raise hell. As I learned more about it, I got a little insight into it. Some of the people who were making those comments, and I understand where they were coming from, but I can't buy into it. So I'm going to dance around that issue in the first segment of the show this week, and also for the Ask Avery segment. I'm just going to talk a little bit at Ask Avery about who can actually have a gun. I mean, a kid under 18 can't buy a long gun. A kid under 21 can't buy a handgun. But so, of course, if you want to get a kid into shooting or hunting, you've got to buy the gun for him. It's completely legal, and I think it's moral and ethical, and I think it's a great thing to do as long as you supervise that kid, of course. Hey, Mike, how are things in Arizona? I love it too. Tim says he loves that schools have shooting sports. And I'll go back to the big state high school trap shoot in Mason last spring. There were 2,000 kids there, all of them carrying around shotguns. There was not one negligent discharge. There was not one accidental discharge. There was not one act of violence. And I think that's the point. I don't want to get too far off topic here, but I hear the news people talking about gun violence. That's baloney. Violence is violence. There is no such thing as gun violence. Violence is violence. It doesn't matter if it happens with a gun or with a hammer. A sick individual can do violence. The gun has nothing to do with it. Yes, Jim. Apparently you already know about it. All right, John. Have a good day, buddy. I agree with you there, Jim. Bill said the head of Fenton's state championship trap team is a good friend. If you ever want to get him on the show, watching those guys shoot, those Fenton guys, Bill, that was impressive to watch those kids shoot. Hey, good morning, Jim. How are you? Jim Felgenauer says, good morning, Mike. Regardless of age, some people should have guns and some should not. No doubt about that. That's the one we got, Jerry. That's the one we got. Hey, Corey, good morning. Yeah, I'll go back to my point here, and Jerry helps me get back on track here. I called the folks at Jay's. In fact, I called Gina Cannell, who is the manager of the gun department at Jay's in Clare. I said, so I want to get him a decent quality over-under, but I don't want to spend a lot of money on it. At that age, it's not the tool, it's the person using the tool. So I thought if we get him a decent quality gun and over-under, he can shoot that through the rest of his high school career. He can hunt with it. And if when he gets older, he decides he wants to upgrade to a better gun, fine. But I said, I don't want to get carried away. I don't want to spend $2,000 on a gun. I don't want to spend $1,000 on a gun. And actually Carter helped pay for part of the gun. He didn't even know I was going to pay for part of the gun. So that was a nice bonus. So I talked to Gina and she recommended that Legacy Sports Acreus pointer. I'd never heard of him before, but I know the folks at Jay's wouldn't steer me wrong. A very good price on it. Seems like a very good gun, and certainly anything a high school kid needs to shoot traps. So that's what we got, Jerry. So thank you for pointing that out. Jerry's son loves his, and I'm sure my grandson Carter is going to love his as well. Biggest thing, and Ed would know, the biggest thing is that the gun fits him. Good morning, Kevin. Good morning, Jim. And this is where I fall short, Ed, because I don't really know how to fit him in a gun. I was talking to Glenn Duncan at Duncan's Outdoor Shop in Bay City. He said the same thing. He said, make sure the gun fits. Well, we went up to Jay's, and the guy behind the counter, we talked about it back and forth. I said, does this gun fit him? It looks a little long, because Carter's a pretty small statured guy. And the guy at Jay's says, no, I think he's fine. Here's my question, Ed. If we find out the gun does not fit him and it's too long, could we just have the stock cut down a little bit, an inch or so? Jerry says they seem to be pretty darn good. His son loves his and shoots a lot. Good. And that's what you want, Jerry, right? You want a kid to have a gun that he's comfortable with and enjoys shooting. So he or she shoots it a lot. And of course, the more they shoot it, the better they're going to get. The better they get, the more they like it. And eventually they may get to the point where they feel like they need to upgrade into a higher quality gun. At that point, Carter's on his own and he can go out and spend $2,000 on a gun if he wants to. But Grandpa wasn't going to pay $2,000 for a gun for a kid to shoot high school trap. I don't care if he's a state champion, which Carter is not. Oh, what else? I'm speaking. Hey, Angela, how are you? And Gus. Hey, Gus. Gus said my truck would look better if it's muddy or when it gets muddy. Amen to that, Mike. A lot of great life's lessons I learned with Grandpa, a gun, and the woods, or Grandpa, a fishing rod, and the water. Mike would know. Yes. Yes, John, it does. That was another thing. I said we want interchangeable choke tubes. It does. It's got interchangeable choke tubes. Tim says any good guns shop can shorten the stock. Okay, I'll take it. If we find out it's too long, I'll take it to Duncan's and have those guys take care of it. I love Jay's, but Jay's does not have an in-house gunsmith. Duncan's does. So when I need gunsmithing, I go to Duncan's. Hey, Ron, how are things in Texas? Oh, I'm well aware of that, Kevin, because I know who's been paying for that ammo. Oh, although I will tell you, Friends of NRA has a program where they provide ammo at a discounted price for high school trap teams. Jay Sporting Goods also provides ammo for high school trap teams. So they obviously it's in their best interest to get kids involved in shooting, but it goes beyond that. They support the cause. So I bought a little ammo last year. Length and drop. Okay, I understand length. I don't understand drop. Well, it does not have an adjustable butt plate recoil pad. Okay, Ed, I got you. Unfortunately, Tim, I don't think so. I don't think so. You know his mom. I think Carter's done growing. But Carter doesn't know he's not 6'4". He thinks he's 6'4". What else? I've got an event Friday night in Bay City. Let me pull this up. I've got some things coming up here. Events. You're seeing deficient money. I got to find it here. Upcoming events. This Friday, the 20th, I'm speaking at the Riverwalk Community Church in Bay City. And next Saturday, the 28th, I'll be at Calvary Baptist in Midland. Looking down the road, Tuesday, the 21st, at the Fordney Club in Saginaw. Or that's actually at the Field and Stream Club, an event for the athletic program for the Fordney Club. Friday, March 3rd, First Baptist Church in Clare. And then Saturday, March 4th. Yeah, I'm here. The big Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner. And they're looking way down the road. Wednesday, March 22nd, a Wednesday night live at the Lumberjack in West Branch. Good morning, Jerry. How are you? Tony says, I still don't understand why it's anyone else's business about young adults starting hunting. I can't comment much because I'll offend people. I hear you, Tony. And this wasn't even regarding hunting. So you can't even throw the moral debate over hunting into this. This was trap shooting. Nothing dies when you're shooting trap except for some clay pigeons. And I said that in the post. I said, this is for his high school trap team. If I could tell you where the comments were coming from, you might go, oh, I get it. Because when I found out, I went, okay, I get where they're coming from. Again, I didn't buy into it, but I understood where they were coming from. Hey, Jeremy, good morning. How are you? No, this was more than this, Jim, because this was, they actually didn't post it online. The comments I got online were all very good and very positive. This was comments from somebody in the public who complained to somebody in the DNR who then passed those complaints along. All right, Mad Jack, have a good day. Good morning, Bert. Hey, Dave, how are you? I was just up to Jay's. I did not see Sam, although Sam, I think, was just getting back from the ATA show. That's why I didn't run into him. And now everybody's taken off to the SHOT Show. They went from the ATA, the Archery Trade Association show, to the SHOT Show in Vegas. I've been to the SHOT Show in Vegas twice. I never intend to go back. Never intend to go back. It's too much of too much of too much. Uncle Johnny, how you doing, buddy? Nice to have you along with us on this edition of Behind the Mic. It was good seeing you and your lovely bride. Wasn't that a nice event Saturday night, Johnny? We had a fundraiser for some friends of ours, and it turned out really well. It was a big success. It stinks that you have to have an event like that to help people out, but it's nice that when it comes together, you can help people out. So you hate to do events like that. You hate to have to do events like that, but it's nice when they're successful. And John, I appreciate you and Debbie being there and supporting the cause. Yeah, he was gone for 4 days. He said it wasn't as big as the past. Well, I think the ATA show has become irrelevant, Dave. And maybe I'm off base because I haven't been for a few years, and I don't go anymore because I don't think it's that relevant anymore. It's not like it used to be. It used to be huge. It used to be if you were in the archery world, you had to go to that show. Not so much anymore. I don't think so. Tim says he's got a friend at the SHOT Show said it's overwhelming. Overwhelming is one term, Tim. Overwhelming is a place to start. Michigan Outdoors Report, where'd you go? Where'd you go? Michigan Outdoors Report, where'd we go? Congrats to you guys. Hey, Stu, how are things at the 45th parallel? Uncle Johnny, Tony Sobey. Yes, Tony, you're absolutely right. I did win the Pure Michigan Hunt. Now they haven't drawn it. They will announce the winners Friday at noon. Friday at noon on the DNR's Facebook page, they will announce the Pure Michigan Hunt winners live. I have been informed off the record that I did win, but I can't officially say that. Well, Ed, you didn't. No, Tony, I have a new one. I have a brand new one for this year. I have a brand new Angler Quest for this year. And Tony Sobey, if he's a good boy, will be allowed to go fishing on that brand new Angler Quest with me. It's a 2022. It's not a 23. It's a 2022 85-26 Pro Troll with a 300 horse Mercury. And it's brand new and it's done. Tony said, so we both won. Yes, we did. And so that means there's only one. Okay, so Tony won and I won. 1 minute. So all of you watching right now, one of you could still win the Pure Michigan Hunt because Tony won and I won. And Tony, we're going to have to win the Pure Michigan Hunt to get a Michigan Bear Tag for this year. So I'm going to Ontario. I'm going to Ontario in the spring to hunt with Ron St. Louis of Northern Wilderness Bear Outfitters. Yes, it has a Tony step. Although I didn't check. Tony, but I'm sure it has a Tony step. Jim's got the 30 seconds. Charlie, I'm not through talking to my friend yet. In 25 seconds, I will have to change my focus from from talking to you, my friends, and I'm going to have to actually go to work. Now, I realize those of you who work for a living say, Avery, you can't say that you have to go to work. I get that. I accept that. I acknowledge that. But in about 10 seconds, I'm going to switch my focus from talking to you. 5, 3, 2, 1, blast off. Let's hear it, Charlie. There we go. All right. So, my friends, I again, if you talk to me now, I'm not going to be able to answer your questions as I'm going to record the first segment of this week's radio show. I'll talk about many of the things we've been discussing this morning, but I would encourage you to join me tonight at 7:00 for another edition of Wednesday Night Live. Oh, by the way, tomorrow I get the front end of the new ZR2 Chevy Silverado lifted and bigger tires, and then I'll be done. And then my gas mileage should be about a -10. That's the problem with having that big 6.2 liter and bigger tires. All right, my friends, got to go. Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine radio show right here on the Outdoor Magazine radio network on more than 30 radio stations across the great state of Michigan. And glad to have you along with us once again. There are a lot of things you could be doing right now, a lot of things you could be watching, a lot of different media content you could be listening to. And the fact that you're hearing my voice means so very much to me. And I do thank you very, very much. So what is on your mind right now? What have you been doing since we last talked? What have you been thinking about? What have you been talking about? The main source of conversation for me and the people I have talked with this past week has been the weather. I know it's a cliche, right? Everybody talks about the weather, but there's nothing you can do about it. And man, isn't that the case? Mother Nature, she loves to put us back in our place. And I talk about this all the time. I love this, that in today's technologically advanced world where we can press a button or we can touch a mouse pad or whatever, and something jumps to life and we get immediate gratification. When you're dealing with hunting and fishing and shooting and trapping and Mother Nature, the control goes from us to something else. And I like that. It's frustrating, but I like that. And right now, a lot of people across this state are frustrated. Ice anglers are frustrated. Skiers are frustrated. Snowmobilers are frustrated. And at this point, I mean, it's the middle of January, right? There used to be an old saying around Saginaw Bay, if you didn't have ice on the bay by mid-January, you weren't going to get it. I don't know. What's it like in your backyard? Do you have ice? Do you have enough ice to fish on? Unless you're way up in the U, probably not. So will we get much of a winter this year? Or alternatively, and this is what really kind of makes me nervous, will winter just be about a month or 6 weeks late? Meaning April, springtime, Easter, when we should be turkey hunting, then we'll have snow. I certainly hope that's not the case. But is there anything you can do about it? Of course not. Again, we're at the mercy of Mother Nature. We just have to wait and see. I always say never cancel a fishing trip or a hunting trip or a trip of any kind based on a weather forecast. But when you've got a weather pattern like this, well, then maybe you start to look and go, well, maybe we can't do that trip this year, this winter. We'll see. We'll wait and see. This past week, did something very fun in the Avery household. I took my grandson Carter to Jay's Sporting Goods in Clare and bought him a new shotgun. Now, he actually paid for part of it. In fact, the best story is he thought he was going to have to pay for the whole thing. And then when we got to the checkout counter, Grandpa paid for half of it. So he appreciated that, and I appreciated the fact that he was willing to buy the whole thing. So what we needed was a new shotgun for Carter in his high school trap shooting league. Now, a lot of people don't even know that many Michigan high schools have trap shooting teams. This is your growing sport. It's getting to be a big deal. And I support this every possible way. Number one, it gets kids involved in the shooting sports. Number two, it teaches kids safe gun handling practices. And number three, it shows society and the anti-gun people that guns are not the problem, because these kids take these guns to these high school trap shooting ranges, events, meets, state championships. I was at the state championship in Mason last spring, and I think there were something like 2,000 high school shooters there. I don't know how many thousands of rounds they shot, but there was not one negligent discharge. There was not one accidental discharge, and there was not one act of violence. And by the way, don't get me started on the term gun violence. There is no such thing as gun violence. Violence is violence. The gun has nothing to do with it. A deranged and demented and sick individual can cause violence against another person with a stick, a stone, or a hammer. A gun, no. Let's stop using the term gun violence. Anyway, to get back to my topic, I called Gina Cannell, who was the manager of the gun department at Jay's in Gaylord. I said, Gina, here's what we're looking for. We want an over-under. Carter wants an over-under in a 20 gauge. I want a decent quality gun, but I don't want to spend a fortune for it, because at that age, I don't think the gear or the equipment is that critical. Give a kid a good, solid piece of gear to work with. Let them hone their skills. Let them find out if they're actually committed to the activity. And then down the road, if they are, well, they can upgrade the gear if they want to. I mean, Carter started the season last year as a freshman shooting a single shot 20 gauge I got for Christmas when I was 12 years old. And it worked just fine with him for a few meets or matches. Then he said, you know what, Grandpa, I think I want to go to a semi-auto. I get that. I get that completely. So he upgraded to an old 20 gauge semi-auto that my grandpa had. And he shot the rest of the season with that. And it was just fine. And he shot it pretty good, pretty well. But as he gets more into this, he said, you know, I think I really want an over-under. Fine. I get it. You've proven at this point that you're at least committed to this degree. But there is no way I was going to take him to Jay's and spend $2,000 or even $1,000 on a high-end trap gun. So Gina suggested, I said, okay, again, I don't want to break the bank, and I want a good quality, solid gun with interchangeable chokes, a 20 gauge over-under with interchangeable chokes. And she said, we have a Legacy Sports Acreus pointer here that might be just what you need. I had no idea what that was. I've never heard of them before, but I thought if the folks at Jay's recommend it, Oh my gosh. Charlie, I just just got an email. One of our subjects for the show says I'm really sick and can't do it. So now I'm left tap dancing for 30 minutes. Gonna have to work on that one. Okay, that took me off track. That took the wind out of my sails. Oh my goodness, I gotta take a drink of coffee. Anyway, I thought if she recommends that, then it's good enough for me. So we went up there, looked at it. I think it's the perfect gun, and we bought it. I say we bought it. I had to buy it, right? Because an 18-year-old kid, or if you're under 18, you can't buy a gun. If you're under 21, you can't buy a handgun. So I took a picture of Carter there with that gun with a big smile on his face. I said, hey, we went to Jay's. We bought my grandson Carter a new shotgun for his high school trap shooting season. And posted it as I often do. And we got a lot of, all the comments online were positive. They were like, this is cool. You're a great grandpa. You're passing down the tradition. This is the way it should be. And it just, it was wonderful. And then I heard that some people were complaining to the DNR that Avery bought a gun for a minor and they were upset about it. Now, why they were complaining to the DNR, I'm not quite sure. Why they think it was bad for Avery to buy a gun for a minor. The kid can't buy himself a gun. Somebody's got to buy it for him if he wants a new gun. I didn't buy the shotgun for him and send him loose on the streets. A kid under 18 can't legally be in possession of a gun, hunting or trap shooting, unless they are under the direct supervision of an adult. And I guarantee you that's going to be the case. So it really, when I heard about this, I really started to get mad about it. Really got mad. I will tell you this, and I can't tell you all of the specifics, but as I learned more about the story behind the story and these people who were complaining about it, they come from an interesting perspective that I can see their point of view, but obviously I don't buy into it. If we are going to continue this lifestyle, this history and tradition, we've got to get kids involved in the outdoors, whether it's a trap or a bow or a fishing rod or a shotgun. But fortunately, the vast majority of the reaction to that experience was positive. And I thought it was positive. I thought it was great. Now, Carter is chomping at the bit. He wants to get out and do some shooting because we haven't been able to yet. So hopefully by the time you hear the show this weekend, I will have been able to get Carter out and at least put some rounds through that gun. I don't think we'll make it to the trap range, but I got a Frisbee or something I can throw up there and let him take a few shots. Coming up on this week's Outdoor Magazine show, after the break, Rich Krazan of Killer Food Plots talks about the fact that he is now in control of that company. He was able to buy that company after the loss of our friend Nick Percy in the fall of 21. There was concern that the company might not make it. Well, it's going to make it, and it's going to thrive under Rich's direction. And then Tom Campbell of Woods and Water News. I was going to tell you who's coming up at the beginning of hour number 2, but that now seems to be in limbo. I love hearing an hour before an interview is supposed to happen that somebody can't make it. Well, my options are kind of limited at that point. You want to see Avery tap dance for an hour? Stick around. Then probationary conservation officer Steven Satcher joins me. I'll talk more about the legalities of kids and guns. And in hour number 3, Matt Taggett of Rec Broadheads talks about shed hunting and more. And of course, wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner. That's coming up this week right here on Outdoor Magazine. Okay, I got to try to salvage this thing now. Have a good day. See you. Times.